City Jazz Sessions is about great music, arts, and entertainment. We are located in St. Louis, Missouri, and available to performance art lovers worldwide. Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter. You can email us at cityjazzsessions@gmail.com.
An incredibly special guest who I've known pretty much my entire life. I think I was one of the youngest members of one of the bands he had here in St. Louis when I was a kid. His partner in crime back then, an incredible trumpeter named by the name of Floyd LaFleur, told me that I was going to marry his daughter. And almost did. But we're all family and we all love each other and we're still good friends right now. But this is the one another only JD Parran, who is a multi instrumentalist, composer. He's recorded with I don't know how many people. He's done a lot of work. He's been influential on teaching so many musicians simply by what he's done and physically being in front of them. As a matter of fact, one of our earlier guests, Kelvin Bell, also from St. Louis, said that he learned more than anything from anybody from JD Parent. So welcome, JD.
Well, Ronnie, it's so good to be with you. And what a great compliment from the great Kelvin Bell.
Oh yeah, man. Look, how you doing? What you been up to recently?
Well, I'm finishing up our semester, just like you are at CUNY in New York.
Uh-huh.
And I just toured with Amir El Safar,
Oh, nice.
Rivers of Sound, through the Midwest and California and back down the East Coast. So I'm doing things again.
Yeah.
People are doing things. And I hadn't been on an airplane until last March.
Right.
And
How did you
so,
find it?
yeah, well, I don't like them, but you know, it's kind of necessary, and it's just kind of necessary if you're going to perform in
Yeah.
California. I don't want
Yeah.
to take a bus out to California, do I?
Right. No, not nowadays. Hey, do I recall this correctly? We used to get you had a Citroen. We used to pack it down and go to gigs and that.
Now, what has that got to do with the music?
I'm just I'm
No,
just having
Ronnie,
fond
I'm kidding.
memories.
I'm kidding, Ronnie. No. And when I had the band, I had Citroen. Yeah,
Yeah, man. That car, I was just amazed at that car. Cause first of all, for me, that car was like a futuristic car.
it
And,
was. It was.
and it's yeah. And I was thinking about how we get all of that equipment and stuff in there.
Well, who turned me onto that car was one of the original bass players in the Oliver Lake Art Quartet, Arzenia Richardson,
Oh
and
wow.
he found that car in St. Louis out on Manchester and made me buy it.
Well, I know that was a good buy for you.
And then when I moved to New York and couldn't use it no more, he came and sold it to a friend of his. I took it and drove it out to Oregon.
Oh man, wow.
Yeah, I mean, RZ, he loved those cars.
Yeah, those cars are
And,
some
but
amazing cars.
he's a part of us with the music.
Right.
Arzenia Richardson.
Right. So you know what, JD, if you wouldn't mind, give us a little bit for those of you who aren't familiar, some of your background and the things, people who influenced you and people that you attached to. I know you were also part of Bag. I know you were also part of a lot of different movements that were going on. As me as a youngster, I used to see you guys all the time in different places, and I was so honored to learn from you by uh, being able to make music with you. It was incredible. But just if you would, let's take a few minutes so you could just tell us a little bit about your background that way.
You mean my St. Louis history?
Your St. Louis history, and
Yeah,
then
I mean,
you,
I
your
never
St.
lived.
Louis history has branched you out all over because you're known all over.
Well, I never lived too far until I got to college from Eastern Avenue, Martin Luther King,
Yeah.
and I was, I went to Couples Elementary School, and I did take a brief sojourn over to O'Fallon, but I graduated from Sumner. I caught
Okay.
back up with all my people over there that I went to elementary school with,
Right. Right. Right.
and I started, with guys playing in big bands,
Yeah.
and James Jabbo Ware, his
Abo. Yeah.
teacher has been uh, Harry Wynn, gave him this big folder of those old stocks.
Oh wow.
So we came together and started meeting and trying to play them. And Walter Lathan from the county school system, but he was George Hudson's bass player. They called him the Ghost. And
Yeah.
yeah, he was a George Hudson's bass player. And then he took over as manager. Well, he was always manager of the band. But
Okay.
in any case, he met with us at the Page Park Y.
Right. Okay.
And but then Vernon Nashville came along with this authentic, professional, post swing bebopish book that he had accumulated in his youth, and he used to meet with us every Saturday at Local 802 on Delmar and Newstead.
Right.
So I'm still 14, 15 years old.
Wow.
So we came up in the community, led by professional slash teachers like Walter Lathan, O'Hara Spearman. Also,
Oh, here, experiment.
he
Okay.
taught me saxophone and clarinet privately.
Right.
Vernon Nashville, who. So I mean, it was a strong community. And when the first orchestra I ever played in was at Enright Middle, there was something called the Pan-Hellenic Council Orchestra, and
Wow.
all of the African American music teachers were involved in it. And it was like an all city, but an all black city,
Right. Right.
And so,
Right.
I remembered my first concert was 6 months after I started playing was at Enright Middle. That's where the Pan Hellenic Council was having their concerts. So it
Was
was a rich, and I went to Southern Mission Baptist Church, so the music there was rich as well.
okay. Was clarinet your first instrument or
No, tenor sax. My dad had a tenor
tenor
sax.
sax? Okay.
Yeah, and that's that. And so when I played the Panhellenic Orchestra at rehearsal, that was also at the Page Park. Why? Because the Page Park was a center for culture,
Right.
one of the centers before. I'm sorry, Sarah Page first. It was
Right.
Page Park came later.
Right.
But O'Hara Spearman walked up to me and said, "Hey, Coleman Hawkins, why you play that horn so loud?" So then he became my teacher after that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, well, and close lifelong friend.
Okay.
'Cause he affected everybody, all of us, with his
Yeah.
great playing and his mentoring of all the other music teachers and his great. I saw when I was 15 years old, I saw him conduct the Grieg Piano Concerto with Donny Hathaway,
Woo.
soloist at Vashon High School.
Nice.
Donny was about 17 at the time.
Wow.
I
So
mean,
he was the one that kind of started getting you into the nuances of the horn.
well, yeah. I mean, he was one of my. I had a private teacher before him, but no, he and his advice and how he's told me, JD, if you want to go to at that time, you couldn't major in saxophone in college.
Uh,
Say you want to be a music major, you got to play an instrument where they have a made there, so play clarinet, and then you can double and play in orchestras and bands and
right.
shows. And so he got me started on that.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it was his advice too. He told me to do that.
Okay. Yeah, I was just kind of thinking that maybe he helped you with the nuances because you said why you play it so loud like Coleman Hawkins.
Well, I mean, it's not easy to play soft when you don't know how to play.
Right,
That's
right.
that's a reality. But and he was
Yeah.
speaking from that when he said that to me. But I didn't know who no Coleman Hawkins was at that time.
Right, right.
I had just turned 11 years old.
Wow.
And my parents were in the church. They weren't listening to the
Yeah.
music. But it was all around.
Yeah. Yeah. That's beautiful. That's
I'm
beautiful.
getting a siren, but in a minute, but that's okay.
Oh yeah, that's on your end. I thought that was over
Yeah,
here.
it's on my end.
Okay, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Hospital
So
right up the street.
oh right, right. Yeah, oh man. We were just having a conversation, my wife and I the other day. We had uh a friend visit us from out of town, and they were asking us how it was during COVID, and we were living in Flatbush when that thing kicked off, and it's like nonstop sirens. I mean, and really going, if we went outside, it was definitely like being in apocalyptic kind of situation. There was nobody out. It was
Oh
really,
yeah,
really
it was
eerie.
like that up here where I live on 42nd Street
Yeah,
too.
yeah, it was really eerie. It was really eerie.
And I was watching my back because usually there's a lot of people around.
Right. Yeah,
You,
absolutely. You
you,
have
know,
to.
you know what I mean? And then when that happened, it wasn't nothing. And then I
Yeah,
realized the only thing didn't close up at first was liquor stores.
right. You see how that worked?
Yeah,
You see
yeah,
how that worked?
yeah.
Liquor
And
stores, and I think the second thing that opened up was the Chinaman.
you know, there were some restaurants that began to serve out
Right,
outtake, yeah,
right.
and stuff like that. It happened gradually, but
Yeah,
it was momentous that time.
yeah, it was. So let's move on forward. So what were the next things that drew you in even more to the music? And who were some of the other players in St. Louis that stood out to you? In terms of who you gravitated to, maybe in not particularly style, but just that they were doing some things that sparked your interest more.
Well, the great Freddie Washington was playing. I could go to hear him when I was a teenager, playing the matinees at Fat States Lounge, and still be home by 8 or 9 o'clock.
Yeah,
We used
wow.
to go to we used to go to the Union and do the rehearsal, and then go over to the Fat States and hear Freddie. Now he
Yeah,
had people like David Hines,
yeah.
John Chapman, or Rick Bolden on piano,
Okay.
uh, John Mixon or Raymond Eldridge Sr. or Jr. Raymond Eldridge Sr. or Jr. on
Yeah,
bass.
okay.
We
Yeah,
had two bass dynasties.
yeah,
One was the Eldridges,
yeah,
and one was the Mixons.
yeah, yeah.
And we
That's right.
still have Daryl,
Yeah, we
and
do.
I played with him a couple of years ago. Right before COVID, I played with Daryl and
Well,
George.
you're gonna be playing with him here on the September 11th thing
Yeah,
because he's featured
yeah,
on One Piece of Mine.
yeah.
Him and him and the guitar player that we used to have in the band we had here. So the two of them are, and that's a big band piece. So everybody will be playing on that one.
Who's the guitar player?
Richie Daniels. I don't know if you remember, but we had a band called
Okay.
NCP, No Commercial Potential, where we were opening up for people like George Duke when they came through town. That was right before I left St. Louis, and so
Well, when
he's
we were playing together, you were 16.
yeah. I
You
was
know,
younger than I did some things with y'all younger than that.
yeah. But when we made that studio recording, which Lyle LaFleur has,
Yeah. Oh, she does. Okay,
I gave it to her.
you gave it to her.
I gave it to her. Her
Well,
dad. It's the legacy of her father. I
that's
put out
right.
the
That's
record with
right.
her mother, and
That's right.
I gave it to Laya. I hope me and you and her have a talk.
Yeah. I just talked to Lyle last night, so we should
That's
we
some
should
of
all
the
talk
me and
about
Floyd's best playing are on those were on that and that unreleased album that you were on
that.
when you were
Wow.
16.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Man, I have to. Ooh, I need to hear that because
You
oh wow,
do, you'll be surprised.
yeah, but I remember, man, I just remember loving being in y'all's company so much, and I think we did also some gigs with I know Mix did most, but I think it was Meshach
That
playing.
That person I don't remember.
I thought he played some
But
bass in that
I don't
configuration.
remember everybody. I don't
Okay,
remember.
okay, okay,
We're
okay.
talking about a long time ago.
Right, right. I know.
Yeah. Uh,
But it's a beautiful thing that we hear from that time. And I mean, for me, that was
it
my really
is. It
those
is.
are my developing because that playing with you guys gave me the what I needed to feel confident when I went to New York because I was so young when I went to New York.
You were young.
Yeah. But y'all gave me the musical ingredients and the stamina. I have to say stamina, because one of the things I noticed when I got to New York, a lot of the drummers in my uh well, there weren't many in my generation, but the elders said, "Oh man, you got a lot of power. You got a lot of stamina." Between I said, "Well, that's from St. Louis, playing with these cats that
But
were."
now, Ronnie, you were never in the drum corps, though, were you? That was before your time, right?
No, I did a little stint of drum and bugle
Okay.
actually with
Did
Rasul.
you?
Yeah, I was
Okay.
very
Okay.
young. Yeah, I did a little stint of that.
Because
Yeah,
so
maybe a
many
couple of
of the good
years.
drummers, jazz drummers like Charles Payne, Scrooge,
Yeah,
and on, and Bobo,
yeah,
and other musicians, whether they carried on with the drums or the bugles. I mean, that was a source for the musicians in St. Louis, and it was a
absolutely.
black organization, Tom Powell Post American Woodmans.
That's right. That's right. And I
And
remember I was like so excited when I got a chance to do that with them, for a brief period. But being there at all and seeing them in parades
I
and all.
thought maybe that was I thought maybe that would be over by the time you came along.
No, I caught the
Uh-huh.
tail end of it. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Because Rasul got me involved in some of them.
Oh, okay.
Yep, yep, yep. So let's what are you? I know you're primarily tenor, but you play quite a few instruments. Can you tell us about them and if you have a affinity to one over the other and why you maybe started playing them and
Well, I explained to you what happened with my starter. My dad gave me the tenor. O'Hara told me to take up the clarinet to be able to get educated, to
right.
be part of a music department and get a degree.
Okay, okay.
And so, but right after I got out of high school, or right when I was getting out, I wanted to play flute because that went along with the doubling in show bands.
Right.
Well, I picked that up right away, and O'Hara introduced me to my teacher Les Scott, who he and I are still close here in New York, and he at that time was teaching at Webster College, and um, but the person I have to mention is Kenneth Billups. The reason I really went to
Oh
Sumner
wow,
in
Mr.
my
Phillips.
mind, not was because I was raised to go to Sumner, because Ken Billups was the only teacher in St. Louis that I knew about was teaching music theory in the high school.
Mm-hmm.
Now I was supposed to go to Sumner anyway, so it all worked out. And he sent us to this Saturday program at Washington University, run by Lewis B. Hilton of the education department.
Mm.
And I was going out there, and it was a big, thing. I mean, to go
Right,
out there every Saturday, they would have concerts for us. That's where I learned in class from my theory teacher about people like Ravi Shankar.
ah, yeah.
I was exposed to so much. I was exposed to early music out there, and then later on, uh, Oliver Nelson started coming back to town, and
Woo.
we did a couple of summers with Oliver Nelson at the Washington University campus,
Okay.
and I got to meet Oliver and ride in the car with him and
Oh,
this
nice.
kind of stuff. So, but back to Fat Stage Lounge, that was I mean, I don't know what to say. And I heard Freddie within the last 5 or 6 years, and he's just incredible.
Oh yeah, he's
Out of,
timeless.
out of the place, Toast
Okay,
Time,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, out there, and he stood up and played for 2 hours.
Yeah, yeah,
Everybody making all kind of noise, and they didn't care. These cats, they they
yeah.
played for 2 hours,
Wow, yeah.
and I got a chance to really have a conversation with Freddie. I had gone to his house once when I was a kid,
Right.
He was, but really, at the time I was young and before I left St. Louis, Willie Aikens wasn't there very long.
Okay.
He became and also, you know, became a big influence on everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
He had been I think in service and then came back to St. Louis
Right.
right before I left.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
I taught at SIU. That was my first job after I got my master's in Washington U. And uh, I taught at Edwardsville and the East St. Louis campus.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and so I got to know, you know, finally realized what was happening. With Illinois. I mean, education wise, they spend more money than Missouri.
Ah.
They're hipper, in
Yeah.
so many ways.
Right. 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 Right.
Uh,
Right.
it's even though people, but my daddy used to say, oh, I don't go over to East St. Louis. It's too muddy over there.
Oh boy.
But it didn't have the infrastructure.
Yeah.
You,
No.
you know it, but that's where all the musicians used to go and work.
Right. Yeah.
You
Well,
know,
because yeah, you could work there all night long.
that's
If
right.
there
You
were certain
if you
places.
had a gig in Missouri and it closed down between 12 and 1, and then you go over to now I wasn't a club date musician, but David Hines used to say, if you want to work the weekend, the great David Hines, he
Yeah.
said, if you want to work the weekend, start calling on Wednesday. No,
Yeah.
and I really, David, that's when I got to New York, I found out that's what people did.
Yeah.
People weren't
Absolutely.
afraid to ask for a gig.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You
Yeah.
see what I'm saying? Oliver,
Yeah.
so David Hines was a real professional in every sense.
Absolutely.
You
Absolutely.
know what I mean? And he gave all of the younger cats advice in different ways, depends on how you came to him or what you
Right.
all were doing.
Yeah.
But that was one I'll never forget. That he used to say. If you want to work on the weekend, start calling on Wednesday.
So
But that,
you were telling me about the other horns too that you were playing.
well, okay, I really just always enjoyed playing different instruments.
Right.
So I eventually got an alto, a
Okay.
soprano even before that, bass clarinet I wanted to play.
I
You know,
love bass
uh,
clarinet.
I
Yeah.
took a shot at the oboe, but that didn't work out so well. It was taken away from my other instruments too much.
Uh-huh.
But the alto clarinet I discovered after I got to New York, and bass saxophone through the great Howard Johnson. I finally
Right.
touched at his house. I
Yeah.
touched it, and
Alto.
he's the one that told me about the contrabass clarinet, and it got me interested in that. And I wound up playing it, and it really made my career with Anthony Davis,
Uh-huh.
with all his operas and the concerto that he wrote for me. You Have a Right to Remain Silent, which
Right. 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 Right.
is
Right.
recorded and is being toured around by the African American principal clarinetist with the New York Philharmonic,
Oh, beautiful.
Anthony McGill.
Okay.
Yeah, and so it's out in the repertory now.
Right.
You
Oh,
know,
that's wonderful.
and I have
I
the
didn't
honor,
know that. I didn't know that.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
to be in the original, making the original recording. It was written for me too.
Right. Right.
But and then so the contrabass in E flat now. It's not the lower contrabass, but
Right.
the one.
I understand.
It's the
Okay.
same tessitura as like the baritone saxophone, just goes a little bit lower. But
Okay.
I through people, I listened to people. I listened to Howard,
Yeah.
and he didn't tell me to play it, but it made me interested.
Right. Right.
You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And when I saw the bass sax, the bass sax he had at that time was owned by this guy played with the band. We did a record with the band. It's a famous record called Rock of Ages.
Uh-huh.
But one of the keyboards players' name is Garth Hudson, and
Right. Okay.
his daddy was a reed player in the old times, and he left him a whole set of saxophones. So Garth let Howard borrow the saxophone for a while, the bass.
Right.
So ever since I saw Howard, the one Howard had, I was always looking for bass saxophone. I'm playing that now.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Nice.
So,
Nice.
that's why I was playing that on the road with Amir El Safar and clarinet.
Okay. Okay. Beautiful.
I very seldom go out of the house with the same group of instruments. It's always something different to choose from.
Right. Now, what did we agree about for solos? I know you bring the tenor, right? Uh,
No, bass clarinet.
yo, okay, bass clarinet. And I
Yeah.
thought you said tenor too, because I had you as first tenor.
Well, that's not what we said, but
Okay, well, let me go back and see
we
what
can
we looked
discuss
at.
it later. Yeah. Hmm.
Okay, okay, okay.
And maybe the flute or soprano, something
Right,
like
right,
that. But
right. We
one
did
of the
talk.
things I have to do with you is what we said was finalize the instrumentation.
Right, that's
Yeah.
right. That's one of the things we
Let's
got to
have
get.
that for another conversation because I'm
We
really
will.
looking forward. I'm really looking forward to it, and I really am.
Oh yeah, me too. I've been. This is a lifelong dream for me.
And I'm very. I don't want to just use the word impressed, but it makes me happy that you and your colleagues in St. Louis are putting this together like this. I think it's a wonderful thing for the community and us.
Oh, JD, this has been like I said, a lifelong dream, and it's been a hell of a lot of work for me. I mean, it got sparked by the South Arts residency grant that I was awarded, and so I was able to come to the table with the Kransberg people with already some support, and they've been instrumental and extremely excited as well for this project. So they were able to offer, the concert
Enough resources.
and the resources for me. So when I'm here, I'm able to use one of their facilities to rehearse. The younger players and some of the seasoned players that are also going to be joining us on that concert. So I'm extremely ecstatic.
Where we rehearsing?
Well, once we get here, one of the venues at the Kransberg Arts Center. When I'm here now, like yesterday, Tuesdays, and tomorrow Thursday, I have a place called the Studio. It's at the Kransberg Arts Center, right on Olive and Grand. So primarily, I believe it'll probably be that same space. Um,
And the performance
they
will
have
be in that area too, right?
the performance is going to be at a place called the Big Top. It's like a huge um tent, circus tent
Near
with
Grand?
a
Is it near Grand?
it's on Washington. Yep, it's a few
Okay, yeah,
blocks down
yeah.
from
So
Grant.
it's in that area you're
Yeah,
talking about.
and it's incredible.
Uh,
It's multimedia because I also have a filmmaker. We're working on a film to three of the compositions I've composed. So it's to be a multimedia presentation, and so I'm so excited about it. It's just a lot of work, and I'm to that end, I'm glad that my semester is over because teaching at the two colleges with all these courses, now I have time to really kind of get back into the compositions. I got to finish the string parts and make sure
mm,
all of the ranges for everybody's parts are ready. So I'm excited about being able to do that too. So um,
very good.
I, you were saying also that you mentioned something and it made me think about wanting to ask you another question. Oh yeah, when you were out with Anthony, um, did we do that Julius Hemphill record together? The big band record?
Absolutely,
I thought
absolutely. Yeah,
so. Yeah.
yeah. It's called Julius Hemphill Big Band.
Right. That's
Yeah,
one of the best
yeah,
records of my life that I
yeah.
did. And
Yes, we were there together.
did we do a recording with Blue It?
Well, this is what happened. It was Clarinet Family, and you
Right.
are definitely on the record in Berlin.
Right.
But I never knew the reason why you didn't do the one at the run right before we went over there at uh, Public Theater. I just assumed you were out on the road or something, and you couldn't do that.
I think I was. I
Yeah,
think I was.
and so Warren Smith played with us when we were putting the music together, and we did the first concert of that music, which was at the Public Theater. And that was in
Right.
that Public Theater had this dynamite music program still,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and so then we went to Berlin, and yes, you were
Yeah.
there. That
That's
concert is
another incredible
it's
recording.
online.
Yeah, I didn't know that until recently.
Yeah,
Uh
it's online. Yeah, the great Fred Hopkins,
Woo.
and all these clarinets, yeah, and that was part of a predecessor to what I'm doing at Greenwich House Music School now in New York, which is my clarinet orchestra called Dance Clarinets.
Oh, nice. Okay, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
and we play a lot of big band music though, and play it on all clarinets.
Right. Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Nice,
and
nice, nice.
we last year we made a video. It's very successful. I thought I sent it to you of the music of Oliver Lake, his big band music.
I don't recall getting that. Did you
I'll have
email
to
it to
send
me?
that to you. Yeah,
Yeah, well,
and
I'll double back on the emails and see if I missed it. And
that's
we got
okay.
to
I
be
will send
talking
it to
anyway.
you again. I
Okay,
sent
okay,
it to you
okay.
again. It's on Vimeo, but people wanted to come to St. Louis, but again, there's got to be finances in place for something like that.
Right, right. That's another thing I wanted to ask you about because I've through a lot of my nonprofit process, I've run into a lot of different people that kind of got really excited about this St. Louis project, and
Yes.
so I'm trying to also I'm talking to South Arts again because they help you when you trying to put together a tour. So if you would be interested, um, of course, after uh, um, well, I just want to take this thing on the road, so I'm just trying to see,
That's clear. That's clear.
Okay,
I mean, you haven't put it together yet. That's all you're saying.
yeah, we're working on it. We're
Yeah,
working on it.
yeah.
But I
Understand.
do have um which I mean, I guess we'll talk about this offline, but I do have another concert in place for the fall for this music and for this particular band. I think I did mention to you that on the Zoom. So
It's
um
going to have some
yeah,
legs. Yeah, already. That's
yeah,
good.
yeah. So what else you want to tell us about your up and coming products? And I know
Well,
you've done a lot of work in orchestras in New York and maybe some pit bands. Can you tell us some of our viewers about some of
well,
that things you've done?
one of the things I made the cast album to the Broadway show Ain't Misbehaving,
Hmm.
and the great Hank Jones was was the was the pianist,
Uh-huh.
and you know. It's if you just look up the and another St. Louis, and I gotta tell you this crazy story. Ken Page,
Oh yeah.
this cat was one of my very first clarinet students because my teacher Les Scott sent me over to that Catholic school over there on 18th and off of Washington there to teach because
Right.
he didn't want to work for $5 an hour. That's how I got my start teaching when I was in Webster College. So I had a group of little children, like only about three of them. I'm teaching clarinet. So Ken, here we run into each other on Broadway. And he one day, and then he hired me to do a club gig he had. So he comes over to me and he says, "Yeah, I remember you used to pop me on my head with a pencil." I said, "No, no, that wasn't me." But that's a lie. I did it. Yeah, he was my first. Ken Page was my first clarinet student.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and
That's
I
some
was in
history
college
there.
at that time. But anyway, coming up, I am doing uh, going back to one of my original or long time teaching really opportunities and blessings, which was Harlem School of the Arts,
Yeah.
the program with Chicago AACM member Steve Adekoke Colson. So I'll be
Yeah.
doing it
Okay.
at the beginning of June, around the 10th, and then at the end of the month on the 16th, on the 26th, I'm playing the Vision Festival, JD Parran and Spirit Stage 2,
Okay.
playing the music of Oliver Lake. And
Nice. Nice.
so
Nice.
far, I've got Gene Lake to play.
Woo. Yeah. I
Yeah.
had both Gene and Oliver on this podcast. It was really nice
Oh,
to
have
have
you
both
had Gene on
together.
this? Oh, great, great. That's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
together
I had
though.
Gene and Oliver on the same day. That was
On
really nice.
together, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It was wonderful. It
But
was wonderful.
anyway, so there's, it's going to be things are really, really flowing, and I'm really happy about all the work. In the fall, I'll be doing at Greenwich House Music School their 120th anniversary as a settlement house, you
Okay.
know, in New York City for the European immigrants.
Oh wow. Okay.
But it was the same time that Harlem was building. So I'm going to do this music from the 369th Harlem Hellfighters band, the great James Reese Europe.
Oh
His
wow.
music from that, which is a combination of swing. It's some of the earliest big band music, but instead of big band, it was military band.
Okay. Okay.
Really, from the era when big band with just saxophones and all that was just that was farming. But this is earlier than that. So I'm going to be doing a concert and a panel discussion, and this is what we're trying to plan right now. And we've
Right.
been working on the music though even before COVID. And
Right.
now when we got through with this last concert, what we did some more Julius Hemphill music. I've done a lot of concert with James Jaboware of St. Louis, it's Julius Hemphill,
Yeah.
Oliver Lake, Marty Ehrlich, and he's been part of the group on a lot of the concerts
Okay.
and and helping me produce these things and conducting. And he is the thing about Marty is that he has been producing the published editions now of Julius's sextets, quartets, big band charts, and other string
Right.
quartets and piano on Julius Hemphill's uh, publishing company that he set up before he passed, called
Right.
Subito Music. So you can go online and buy Julius Hemphill's music. I mean,
Right.
yeah, yeah. You can, I mean, they got it so now they don't have to print all that stuff up and put it on the shelf. When you
Right.
order
Right.
it, that's when they print it up.
Right. Right.
And it's not that expensive.
Wow.
That you would think it's not a lot of money.
I wonder did he change the drum parts because I had a little not a little issue, a little kind of issue with Marty because he calls me up when he was going to tour that music. He said, Ronnie,
Uh,
all these drum parts say Ronnie's part. And I was like, okay, well, why am I not on the tour?
exactly, exactly.
So anyway, I'm gonna go to that site and see if that music says Ronnie's part.
I'm sure it doesn't. But one of them is one of the ones we did on the Julius Hemphill Big Band.
Oh,
See, it's See Them Blues, or it's called See
oh, so
Salt.
yeah, yeah,
See Salt.
yeah.
One of them is one of the ones that we recorded. At least
Okay,
there's one, and there may be another one on there from that record as well.
right, right, right. I we did a project out here. I guess about a month and a half, maybe 2 months ago
Yeah,
with
with
Quincy.
Redmond and Kelvin and Quincy.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
and C. Curtis Lau came and showed up. It was beautiful seeing him, man. And he
yeah,
yeah, and we just talked about that project. There was so much love that was happening in that project, man. And yeah,
yeah,
David Hines was on it too.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. David,
That
he
that
brought
that is
David.
a classic. That is
Yeah,
an incredible
yeah,
recording
he
with
brought
all of us
David.
on there.
He brought David from St. Louis to play
Yeah.
on that tape.
And Rasul. Yep.
And Rasul. Yeah,
And Frank Lacey and John Purcell. Yeah, whew, wonderful, wonderful players on that recording. Wonderful players on that recording. Um, so you got any are you a record you got any new recordings, anything you doing? This thing in September is gonna be recorded. I don't know.
good.
Uh I mean it's gonna be videoed because it's part of this overarching story I'd like to tell about my upbringing in the city. That's why all of you are so important to be part of it.
Mhm.
I got to get that process started.
I I have some uh, uh, with a group that I've been doing in New York reunion, but I just got to get them out. I've got some recordings
Oh,
that
nice.
I've been planning to get out, and it's gotten a little bit on the back burner.
Right.
But it's quartet with the great Alexi Marcello on piano.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And so he goes back with me to Harlem School of the Arts when I used to make him come in and play piano for his little sister, who was
Right.
taking lessons with me. And
Okay.
then later on, he was in my big band at Harlem School, and then he went from me and went up to University of Mass, which is where he met Julia. He met Yusef Latif, who used to
Nice.
teach around at all the sister colleges up there, and he wound up playing with Yusef for his entire career until
Wow.
until
Yeah.
Yusef passed.
That's
He's
right.
on
That's
several
right.
of you,
That's why I received
Alexi
it.
Marcello,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I know Alexi. Yeah.
And
I got a wonderful record of Yusef with the African drummers that Renee
yes, yes,
gave me. Oh man.
yeah, that was a nice affair that we were at with. I wrote Renee and congratulate him on that meeting. You were there
Yeah, yeah. I, I
at
had a
the
I had a couple minutes I had to drop in because
yeah,
Jackie,
yeah.
man, my years with Jackie were so.
Well, his wife was really glad to see you.
Yeah, Dolly, she's such a
Yes,
sweetheart. She's such a sweetheart. Yep. She reminded me of my bike messenger day. Said, "I Ronnie, I
yes.
remember seeing you ride that bike." I was like, "Yeah, I was a bike messenger in New York."
Uh,
And it was funny too because they had done some movie about bike messengering about that time I was doing, and I was doing all that crazy stuff, holding my bike
uh,
up, running between taxis, trying to make because it's like you make a certain
making
amount of
time.
money. When you make the yeah, you go from down in the village up to 125th Street and back in an hour. You made like big old chunk of money. So all I was in it for was the adrenaline and the money because I was playing with Jackie McLean and McCoy Tyner
And
during that
doing
time.
that. Mhm. Yeah,
So
yeah.
I just wanted that experience in New York to do all those types of things. It was wonderful. It was wonderful. Um, so JD, tell us some more about some of your relationship with Floyd and some of the people that really were in your um time of awakening in this music because I know when I was playing with you guys, it was for me, it was I had never heard anything like that, except on
Well,
record between Train and Yusef and Miles and stuff. But to be in that environment, what were you guys
it
really?
was so unique when Oliver formed the quartet, with Floyd,
Hmm.
and a lot of times it would be Scrooge,
Right.
uh, John Mixon, or Arzenia Richardson. But some years passed, and I'd come to New York, and I came back to St. Louis during the early '70s to teach, and my son was born there. Some things were happening and it was good, to come back. And Floyd approached me and said, "Well, listen, man, let's play. Let's go in some clubs and play."
Uh huh.
So that's how we started that band, Third Circuit and Spirit,
Respect
which
the spirit. Yeah.
Shirley named the band Third Circuit and Spirit.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, we used to do some gigs with Shirley as a band too, because
Right.
in Bags also we always worked with dancers and poets at different times.
Right.
Okay, so so that we got started playing all over. Marvin Horn on guitar, and Eric Foreman on bass. I heard he
Right.
passed.
Eric. Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so Papa was the original drummer.
Yeah.
Papa,
That's right.
Papa Dan Wright. He called me yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah, I talked to him yesterday. I always talk to him. And so we started, by the time uh, you came along, we had Daryl Mixon, though, I
Right.
think. Yeah.
You did,
Now,
but Eric, I remember I did a couple gigs that Eric did
with
too.
Eric, too, yeah.
Yeah, I do.
And, I finally asked Daryl, why were you not on that record? And he finally told me, he said, JD, I had gone to college down south. I had left. That's why.
Right.
Because I really couldn't remember exactly why
Yeah.
he,
Yeah.
he wasn't on the record.
Yeah.
But so at that time, Max Potts was playing with us, the pianist, and
Right.
he wrote a bunch of that music that we played in the club night after night.
Right. 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 That's right. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so it was a wonderful thing, and it was
Yeah.
produced at the old Technosonic studio by Tom Hamilton.
Right. Okay. 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 Wow.
Is that still there? Technosonic Studios?
I have no clue. I have to look. You got me curious. Now that I'm here, I'm gonna try to
Yeah,
find
I
out while I'm
think
here.
I think it was on Brentwood Boulevard
That
and
sounds familiar.
and Highway 40.
Uh huh. Uh-huh.
Technosonic. That was the only studio. That was the only studio in those days.
Warren is saying he thinks one of the Silvermans, one of the young brothers, the Silverman group from U City, he thinks they bought that now.
And it's
I
still
can
a
find
studio.
out. I'll find out.
It's still a studio.
I don't know. I don't know
Uh,
anything. I'm gonna find out, but he thinks that
yeah,
they
yeah.
bought it. So I'm gonna find out. Look into
No,
that.
that's where all of the commercials that were made for Anheuser-Busch and all of these things, went on was at Technosonic Studios.
Right,
Now,
right, right,
who
right,
broke that through that and made it possible for African Americans in all of the genres of the gospel and blues and rhythm and blues was when Oliver Sane opened his studios.
right,
And I can't tell you when that was,
right.
but it lasted a long time.
Yeah,
And everybody recorded at the Olive Sane Studios, and people would show up there with no drummer, no keyboard.
right.
He didn't care.
Yeah,
He'd either play the instruments himself or call somebody up and
right.
have them come over. There might be somebody staying there,
I
somebody who
need
was in his band.
I need to find out because I know I did some rehearsals with Fontella there and they were all recorded. She told me that he recorded all of that stuff. I'm like, I never knew any of that. So I was a kid. So I'm like,
I can't
and he got
imagine.
that.
I can't imagine where it'd be me now that Oliver passed.
Yeah. I'm
But
like,
somebody might know. Yeah,
somebody might know. I got some research to do here.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
that's what it was. You had mentioned um the alto player. Um oh my God. Kim LaCosta is his niece.
Oliver Nelson.
Oliver Nelson. I'm going to ask you, do you have anybody know where Kim LaCosta is? Because she told me that in her basement she had all this Oliver Nelson music and didn't know what to do with it.
No, I don't know. I mean, isn't she in New York? You haven't run into her?
I have not run into Kim in
You
over
did you
20
ask
years.
Kelvin? Did you ask Kelvin?
Melvin doesn't know, and neither does Daryl.
Ah, what if Kelvin doesn't know and Daryl Mixon doesn't know? Then I definitely don't know.
I thought
So,
maybe by
but
chance you guys had been in communication
no,
some kind of way.
I don't know what happened. I mean, where's Kim and
So
so you mean she had it in her basement in New York?
no, here,
Oh, in St. Louis. Does she still
St.
keep
Louis.
a house in St. Louis?
As far as I know, I mean, the last time it's been over 20 years or so since I've
Okay.
talked to Kim, and she told me
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And I was like, you need to get that stuff looked at, published, and let the family, you know, have a family uh funding source from that music because I know that music would go like
It's some
hotcakes around the world.
it's some amazing stuff.
Oh man, Oliver.
Now,
Ooh.
Oliver used to when Oliver would come to St. Louis, he hung out at the Blue Note
Mm-hmm.
in East St. Louis because he was friends with the owner of the Blue Note,
Okay.
Leo Gooden. And Leo took him to Chicago, and they made at least one big band album with Leo Gooden singing
Wow.
with Chicago musicians of Oliver's. And I used to have a kind of a bad recording around here somewhere, but that
Mm.
is really a treasure chest because because Leo had that club that when Blewett got out of service, he
Mm-hmm.
gave Blewett back that job over there with
Right.
Little Man on tenor, uh, John James on organ,
Wow.
uh, Larry Prokofiev on trumpet, Kenny
Uh-huh.
Rice on drums.
Wow, Kenny.
And
Wow.
that was
Yeah.
that was the band. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
Blewett had somewhere to go.
Right.
When he got out to service, he had a job.
Yeah. Blue told me that story. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
okay, I'm not
Yeah.
surprised.
You know, I'm putting it out to the world right now. If anybody knows how to find Kim LaCosta, please put us in touch. Because first of all, I miss the sister. I'm concerned about her. But second of all, she might need some financial advice about that Oliver
Well,
music.
she's a bass player. Did you play with her, Ronnie? I never played
Oh
with her.
yeah, Kim was in one of my first bands. I met
Okay,
Kim before I even
okay.
knew Daryl.
I
and
see.
before they got married, you know. I mean, so but I have no clue. I don't know. I don't know. I couldn't find on
Some people,
Facebook anywhere. So
yeah. Well, sometimes people disappear. You
that's
would
true.
think not today in the age of the internet,
Yeah,
but it can still happen.
it could still happen, and I understand if it's your choice, Kim. If you're listening, I understand. But I
Yeah,
hope you let us know because we do love you and we miss you.
that's a beautiful
Sure.
sentiment.
You know. Yeah.
If she does hear, she don't have to say nothing if she don't want to, but she should be. I hope she would appreciate that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'm sure she does because we all go back too far. You know, and it's always been about love with the people that have, you know, nurtured me in the music and that we've nurtured each other through this music. And that's all it's been about for me because and that's the thing that's kept me to understand that look, I have to stay alive for a reason because first of all, I got all these relationships and these stories, and the music is the thing that's fueled my entire life. So, you know,
Mm.
it's very important. Yeah.
Well, Ronnie, thank you for having me, and having me on and give me a chance to remember some of this stuff.
Oh no, thank you, JD, for finding the time. I know you're busy, and I'm glad you agreed to this. I mean, I had called you like months and months ago, and this was the date that you said I'll be available at this time.
Well, that's great. I mean, that you are willing to and able to plan, because that's
Oh
the
yeah,
only way we get anything done. It
that's
takes
true.
some plan. Other things are spontaneous, but not
Yeah,
everything.
not everything. Yeah, and
Yeah,
that's a
one thing.
good point you're making too,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
we always have to understand it's good to have a plan. you know,
Even
it's
if you deviate from it.
That's right. And
Yeah, yeah.
and for sure you're usually gonna deviate some kind of way, but if you got
Right.
that structure some kind of way, you get to it.
That's
I
right.
love you, JD. Thank
Love
you.
you,
Thank you
brother.
for being part of the South Arts. Thank you for being part of the City Jazz Sessions and this Kransberg concert. And you know, as far as I'm concerned, it's gonna be many, many more, because and if you got, I want this thing to blossom to a point where it's people can bring in compositions and we have a place where we can play them or some kind of way where we can get them played. So
Well,
that's
everything starts with an idea.
right, right. All right. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you,
Talk to you
Warren,
soon.
and this other brother. Yeah,
Leon.
Leon. Yes,
Yeah.
Leon and Warren. Thank you.
Thank you, JD. Thank you. All right. All right. How we doing?
City Jazz Sessions is brought to you by St. Louis City Jazz, a 501c3 company dedicated to music education and appreciation. The CEO is Magic Man 50, and for more ways to connect with City Jazz Sessions, visit cityjazzsessions.wixsite.com/St. Louis. The City Jazz Sessions team includes host, content director, and guest coordinator, jazz great Ronnie Barrage. Follow Ronnie at ronniebarrage.biz. Host, website designer, graphic artist, content director, and guest coordinator, singing sensation Leica. Discover more about Leica at leicamusic.com. Additional production services are provided by Lions Den Productions. Go to thelionsdenstl.wixsite.com/home. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe for more great content.